What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Mohawk Motors. My name is Jason. So, I'm juggling all the projects, just all the projects again. I've got myself a little bit overwhelmed, trying to chip away at each one. I'm trying to prioritize the order of things too, because it's getting cold out, the days are getting short, so my driveway time is going to be shorter and shorter and shorter, and I'm going to need to be transitioning into garage time. So let me show you what I've been hustling on to try to get this done before full-on winter actually gets here. You're probably gonna recognize this. I think it looks different from the last time you saw it. Bam. So if you don't recognize it, this is the white 2500 HD that I did the Will It Run video on a couple weeks ago. Now, I totally took a shot in the dark on this thing. It was listed for sale close by. The guy was asking $1,000 for it, has a title. I talked him down to 800 on it. Didn't know if it would run, didn't know if it would drive, was taken apart. Fortunately came with most of the parts it was missing, and I had faith that it would start. A couple of the things that I really liked about it are, for a 20-year-old truck, it's really low rust. There's some surface rust here on the hood, but that's really not a big deal here in the Mid-Atlantic. The passenger side rocker and cab corner are still really good. The rocker is still perfect. There's no rust in the rocker. There's just a little spot starting to peek through on the cab corner. The driver's side is a little worse. It's starting to bubble and bulge. It sounds like it'll go through, and the cab corner's rusted through. But again, here in the Mid-Atlantic where I am, that's really not bad. That's still worthwhile to fix it, in my opinion. The doors are rust-free, the bed is rust-free, and you know, once I got this thing running, it made me think twice about parting it out, especially considering I have a title for it. Double, especially considering I've been looking for a single cab, 8-foot bed, 4-wheel drive, shift on the floor, 2500 HD for quite some time. I would have preferred one that didn't need any body work, but the truck market is absolutely insane right now. And I mean, you can't get one of these things running and driving for less than $5,000 or $6,000 in my area. And I didn't want to spend that kind of money on it. So I debated on it, I thought about it, slept on it, talked to my wife Meg, and I decided, you know what? This is going to be my new Mohawk Motors tow vehicle. I'll use this to go pick stuff up. I'll use this to drop stuff off. I can haul metal to the scrap yard. Everything that I use my nice Duramax truck for the business, I can do with this truck and stop putting all that mileage on my Duramax. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm sure you remember in the Will It Run video, I did get it to run. It has good oil pressure. It actually runs really good. It had one bad plug wire on it. I could see it arcing. I replaced that plug wire, and I mean, the engine just runs really good. I put the grill back on it. That was in there. I had enough trucks laying around here to get a good set of headlights put together. Ordered a new bumper. Ordered some new tow mirrors. Got the fender flare stuck back on there. I picked up a tailgate for it on Marketplace for 50 bucks, which, great tailgate for 50 bucks. New rear bumper also. Got the trailer hitch put back on. And I did a couple of interior updates, upgrades as well. I found these seat covers on Amazon they fit really nice. They're neoprene, and the set for the whole row was only 80 bucks. It also came with the cover for the center console. Now this had a jump seat, not a flip down. I got this center console at the junkyard. That was in a previous video, my actual video I just put up a few days ago. What else did I get? New new headliner pad. I'm gonna learn / teach myself how to replace a headliner. Never done that before, so I'll show you guys how to do that, assuming it doesn't come out like garbage. And then I've got some other odds and ends for it that I know it needs. Now there's still some parts coming as well. And the big thing that I discovered in the Will It Run video is it won't move. It wouldn't move under its own power. So I messed with the linkage, I hooked up my scan tool, and there's no transmission codes. The linkage is adjusted correctly, but this thing just has no reverse at all and tries to go forward in neutral and sometimes in reverse. And I got to digging and I pulled out my 4L80E manual and looked through it, and I'm pretty confident the rear band in the 4L80E has failed. Especially considering the transmission fluid looks like used diesel oil and smells so burnt. So I'm 99% sure it needs a new transmission, or it needs a transmission rebuild. I'm not going to give you a full how to rebuild a 4L80 video on this one. I've done that before. I'll put a link right up here for you. But I am going to show you the highlights of this one and what I'm doing to improve it. This thing is going to spend 99% of its time hooked up to a trailer, towing a trailer. So I want to do whatever I can to make sure this transmission holds up to towing for as long as I own the thing, which maybe it'll be a year, maybe it'll be 20. I don't know. So here's what we're doing. All right, so I'm gonna get this transmission put together for the white truck before I take the other transmission out. Essentially, this is gonna allow me to just swap instead of have that truck immobilized for however long it takes me to get all the parts and pieces I need. Now this is the original 4L80E out of the surplus Suburban, and this transmission I know is a low mileage unit, which is a perk, and I know why it failed. And that was, I mean, they ran it out of fluid. They cracked the transmission to transfer case adapter, let it run out of fluid, and that caused transmission failure. So I expect to find a bunch of burnt up clutches and burnt up bushings in this transmission, potentially a burnt up pump, but I expect otherwise all the hard parts should be okay, because like I said, it's a low mileage transmission. But I'm gonna get it torn apart, figure out what I'm gonna need to get this thing back together and get all the parts ordered up. I already have a rebuild kit coming, and I already ordered an HD2 shift kit for it. So hopefully I don't find too much other stuff wrong that's gonna take me a while to get here. I'd really like to get that truck back together and driving under its own power in the next week or two at the most. So let's get this thing torn apart, see what we find inside of it. I've done a bunch of these, so I'm just gonna put you on time lapse, play some dropping music, and get it apart as quickly as I can. All right, I've got this thing completely apart. Found pretty much what I expected to find. A bunch of smoked bushings, some super smoked clutch packs. I mean, it's so hot it melted the clutch material. You can see some of the clutches, like the clutch material is gone off of it altogether. We're just down to metal on metal. I mean, totally smoked. Same up here with the forward clutch. I mean, just completely roasted. So, you know, what I expected for a transmission that was run extremely low on fluid. The bushings, my rebuild kit comes with new bushings, so it'll get all new bushings in it. I don't see any damaged hard parts. The planetary gears look okay. I don't see any excessive wear or anything on any of the planetary gear sets. My center support looks good. There's no excessive wear or anything on that. I think a full rebuild, all new clutches and steels, all new bushings, all new bearings, and the shift kit, I think we're gonna be okay. This isn't going to be a crazy high horsepower truck. It's just going to do a lot of towing. So the HD2 kit should give us all of the crispness and the firmness in the shifts that we need for towing. And yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just waiting for parts to get here and doing a super duper mega clean job on all of this stuff. I'm gonna have to get the parts washer dug out and get some solvent so I can use that thing and really get all of this stuff cleaned up really, really well.
Several days later.
I've spent the past few days getting everything cleaned up. There was so much caked in, nasty, grimy, burnt up clutches, just gross material in this thing that cleaning has been rigorous. And I took every single thing apart, every sub-assembly, every smaller piece, every odd and end, everything has come apart. It's all been cleaned, and I've started putting some pieces back together here. I've got my fourth gear clutch and piston assembly cleaned, reassembled, new lip seals, new clutches, new steels. This is ready to go. I pulled the center support apart, you know, cleaned it all out, put a new bushing in it, all new seals here on the fluid distribution part, new seals on the piston, got that all back together. The direct drum, and I'm about to do the forward drum. Now, if you're ever doing this, the direct drum and the forward drum, the steels will fit in both. The exterior spline is the same, but the forward drum uses the steels with the little notches in them, right? Now I did also, this was the only hard part that I found in the transmission that was damaged and not usable. That's the old one right over there. And this is a new one I got on Amazon. It's like 160 bucks, which I really am not upset about. But what happens with these, and it's super common, is down inside the bore here, this is a bushing, and then below is where your input shaft has two little seals that ride in here, and they need to seal up. Now, as this bushing wears, it will allow the input shaft to eat into these sealing surfaces and create grooves. And those grooves cause a leak, cause things to not work right. So when you're taking apart and inspecting your transmission, make sure you check that. And then if you find grooves, if you find that rubbing, you need to replace it or it's going to cause you headaches. I think that was, if I'm remembering correctly, that was the only hard part that I found that was damaged. Everything else was just really dirty and needed a serious cleaning to get all the old clutch material and garbage off of it. So I'm gonna get this put back together, loaded up with new piston, new clutches, new steels, sealed up, lubed up, ready to go. And then probably do some more cleaning and some more assembling as I have parts ready to be assembled.
To 6 more days later.
All right, everybody. So it's been a couple days. I've been anxiously waiting for parts to get here. I finally have everything I need to finish getting this 4L80 back together. So one of the important upgrades that I'm doing this time, and I haven't shown you before, is to rollerize the rear output in the transmission. From the factory, the 4L80E comes with a thrust washer that goes onto the output shaft and a selective washer that sits against the case. And these go just like so on the inside. So the thrust washer wears on the steel selective spacer that not only provides your bearing surface at the back of the case, but also lets you adjust your end play in the rear half of the transmission. So to convert this to a rollerized rear output, I'm using this little kit. It comes with shims and a roller bearing. I'll put a link in the description for you. And I'm using an anti-walk rear bushing. Now, these are intended to be installed from inside the case pushing out. What I'm going to do is install it from the rear of the case going in, and that's going to provide me with a small lip that sticks out just enough to keep that bearing and spacer centered on the shaft where I want it to be. So I'm going to drive this bushing into place where it goes, and then I'll flip the trans over, measure my existing thrust washer and selective spacer, and then install my new shim and bearing. I almost forgot. Since this is meant to be installed the other way, it has a lip on the edge here to retain it. I'm not going to have the advantage of that lip, so I'm going to put some red Loctite on the outside area of the bushing here to lock it to the case. Goes right in. Then I can. Okay, so now I've got my bushing in place. I've chosen my shim. I'm going to use just a little bit of trans gel and stick the shim to the bearing. When you put the bearing in, the black side, the inner diameter side of the bearing, goes down towards the output of the case. And then you sit that down in there. Bada bing, bada boom. You now have rollerized rear output. So now I gotta stick the rest of this thing back together. So at some point, this transmission had moisture in it, and it's caused the gasket, the valve body separator plate gasket, to be super, super stuck to the valve body. Now there are some parts washers with solvent powerful enough that it'll just eat off this paper gasket. I don't have that. But a little trick that I figured out is heat it up. The paper obviously has a much lower burning point than the aluminum valve body does. So you can heat the paper up till it chars just a little bit. I'm just going to use a MAP gas torch. You could use a propane torch, whatever kind of little torch you have convenient. I'm just going to heat it up till the paper chars a bit, and then I should be able to scrape it right off with my razor blade here. Now, it is going to make a mess and get stuff everywhere, so I'm going to have to do an extremely, extremely thorough job of cleaning the valve body, but I haven't been able to come up with any other way to do this. without it just being a massive, massive headache. This makes it so much easier. So heat it up, char the paper, scrape it off with a razor blade. Okay, that's got the vast majority of it off. So now, clean it in the parts washer, double check, clean it in the parts washer again, get all the valves out, clean all the valves, put it back together, and then should be ready for reassembly.
Later that same evening.
Okay, everybody. Well, I got the valve body all cleaned up. I got everything done for the modifications for the shift kit. And now it's pretty much just a matter of getting the valve body bolted back on, getting the new wire harness popped into place, and then putting the pan on it. I mean, this job is pretty much done. So I'm gonna end this video there. I mean, it's nothing exciting to see me put the pan on. And there you have it. 4L80E rebuilt for the white truck that I picked up. That, man, I guess the previous owners just gave up on it before they gave it a chance, which is good for me. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you find these videos helpful. I really appreciate you watching, and all of you that have subscribed. It means a lot to me, so thank you. And until the next video, everybody, take care.